Good evening, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. We might have a few more people that are joining us. If you are seeing anybody else join, Dave, could you let them in? You should be able to admit them. You might notice that our screen here says that this is Life to Eagle Part 1. So there is a two-part Life to Eagle. The second part will be next month. The third Thursday of the month is going to be the Life to Eagle Part 2. This portion that we are covering this evening is covering the project workbook before the project. So it takes you all the way up through to the process of getting started, and then next month we'll take you through what happens during the project and completing the paperwork after the project. Now, you may have noticed that our opening slide here says that Pat Troy is giving this presentation. However, Pat Troy was busy this evening, so myself, Colleen Leahy, and my husband, Dave Leahy, are pinch hitting. So the two of us are going to be delivering this together, and we'll give you a quick introduction. I am Colleen Leahy. I do serve on the Council Advancement Committee. I am the liaison for the Council Special Needs Committee that I co-chair with my husband, Dave. And so we give guidance to scouts, units, parents of scouts who have different challenges that would require some creative thinking to get them through advancement issues. So that's one of the reasons I sit on the Council Advancement Committee. The other thing is that I am the chair of the Council Merit Badge Colleges. And just late breaking news, we do have a council event that is coming up rather unexpectedly. We had a venue open up for us at the last minute. So on November 15th, we are offering a Merit Badge College at Purdue Northwest, which is located in Hammond, Indiana. Is like the first exit right after you get into Indiana. So it's a lovely campus, and they're going to give us a lot of different rooms. We are actively recruiting for counselors and volunteers to help out with that effort. And there are a number of Eagle Required Merit Badges that we will be offering at that event. So the other thing that I do is I am the vice president of program for the council. So I wear a few different hats. Dave, would you like to introduce yourself? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. First of all, Colleen, I do not have access to see anybody who's waiting in the waiting room. So
Oh, okay.
that's I was trying to tap you for that. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Leahy, Colleen's other half. As she said, we co-chair the Special Needs Committee. I also am the district chair for Tallgrass. We do have two sons that work their way through this Eagle process, and they are both aged out and well on to being part of PTAC's staff in many different positions. I've worked on the camporee and are involved in the OA. That's pretty much a quick overview of me. No need to bore you with anything else. Colleen's going to start us off, and I'm going to pick it up as we move into the paperwork side of things.
Right. I just realized that I no longer have the controls available to me to admit people. So I am going to flip-flop back and forth periodically. Just before I get started, can you see my PowerPoint presentation? Are you able to see the screen?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Bear with me for just 1 second. Hey, Don Harris joined us. So
Yes.
Don is on our council advancement team. I don't know who else may have joined us while we were working through some of our logistical issues here.
We are seeing your screen now, Cal.
Yeah,
Okay.
welcome, Dr. Patch.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
saw that Olivia was in here and a few others. Okay, so where we're going to get started is with a safety moment. Council has, or actually National has moved to a safety environment. Over the last several years, we are encouraged to start every single one of our meetings, whether it's at a council or a district or a unit level, with a safety moment. And the idea here is that we deliver a moment that is pertinent to some activity that you might have coming up, some extra thought that might have to go into the planning. And it should only be a couple minutes at length. At a unit level, this is something that maybe your SPL or your patrol leaders are delivering that could be, 3 or 4 minutes long. We felt that when we're doing this Life to Eagle presentation, the thing that we would like to share with you is a safety moment regarding the Guide to Safe Scouting. If that is something that is unfamiliar to you, the Guide to Safe Scouting is a document, a booklet. It used to be a hard copy thing that you could hand out and show everybody, that would give you all of the guidelines that are recommended by Scouting in terms of what is allowed and what isn't allowed at different events. So it helps you with planning event, but it's also very important for any of you who are planning your Eagle projects to take this into account, because if you're planning on using power tools, it dictates what the age levels are of the various types of tools that you might be using in your project. If you are painting, it'll tell you who can be on scaffolding and who can't. There are all sorts of different recommendations, and here, Baden-Powell himself had a quote that they borrowed from a book that he had written that applies to the Guide to Safe Scouting. The book laid down the definite principles and examples which serve to guide leaders when applying their common sense to the situation before them. No two situations are ever precisely the same, and it is therefore impossible to lay down exact rules that should guide in every case, but a man who carries precedents and principles in his head has no difficulty in applying their teaching in supreme moments of sudden emergency. I'm going to click this hyperlink, and if we do this right, we should end up at the screen for the Guide to Safe Scouting, which is on the Scouting America website. So did everybody see how that worked? Did it work okay? Did we get there?
Yep.
You're seeing it?
Yep.
Okay, so this is just a table of contents, and I'm just going to scroll through here, but it does give you guidelines on aquatics, camping, alcohol, tobacco, drug use and abuse, medical information and first aid, chemical and fuels and equipment, activity planning and risk assessment, very important to anybody who's planning an Eagle project, sports and activities. Insurance also is very pertinent to folks that are planning an Eagle activity, but it just goes on and on with all sorts of information that you, as the person that is managing this project, should be aware of. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that the Guide to Safe Scouting is right there as a resource for you on the Scouting America webpage. Now, in terms of what do you need to do to earn the rank of Eagle Scout, there's a whole list of things that you need to take into account. For those of you that want to go and look up the specifics, it is at in the Guide to Advancement. That's a document that guides us through what is allowed and what is expected of an Eagle candidate, and that would be found at 9.0.0.0. It's what that starts. When a Life Scout starts to look to plan to become an Eagle Scout, that clock starts ticking as soon as they hit the Life Board of Review. So once a Scout has completed their Life Board of Review, and before their 18th birthday, that's the window in which they have to complete this process. So for some Scouts, that's 6 months. For some, it's 2 years. But really, you want to make sure that you are working backwards from that 18th birthday and allowing enough time, because that last chunk takes a minimum of 6 months. So you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself enough time to complete that process. Now, there are requirements of what you need to do during that 6-month window, or minimum 6-month window. And that is, you need to be active for at least 6 months. You want to make sure you understand what active means, especially within your unit, because some units have that very clearly defined. You want to make sure that you have demonstrated that you live by the Scout Oath and Law. You have to earn 21 merit badges, varying types. We'll talk about that more in a minute. You have to hold a position of responsibility for 6 months. Sometime within that period of time that you are a Life Scout, 6 months of that time needs to be in a position of responsibility. You need to complete an Eagle Scout service project, and then you have to do a Scoutmaster conference. So those are all the activities you have to plan for. Now, when you're saying be active in my troop for at least 6 months as a Life Scout, you heard me mention that you want to make sure what that is defined as for your unit. Some units have bylaws, and those bylaws define what is required for you to be active. For some people, that's 50% of the meetings that they have to attend, or 75% of the campouts. But units can define those types of things. So you want to make sure you understand what those are. You want to make sure that you demonstrate you live by the Scout Oath and Law. So anybody looking at you would be able to attest to the fact that, yes, you behave in the same way that of all of the things that we recite off at every meeting that we go to, that you demonstrate that you live by those principles. You have to earn a minimum of 21 merit badges. Now, some of those are Eagle required and some are elected. 14 of them are Eagle required. Some of them take 3 months or more. So when you're looking at merit badges like personal fitness, personal management, family life, even citizenship and society, while it's not necessarily 3 months, it's lengthy. So you want to make sure that you are planning for those merit badges so that they are completed before your time runs out. 7 of them can be elective, meaning that they can be any merit badges that appeal to you. Of course, you can always earn more than these, but these are the bare minimum. This is the ask. While you're Life Scout, you have to hold a position of responsibility related to your unit for 6 months. Now, in larger units, sometimes position of responsibilities can be hard to come by. So working with your unit leader, some of the positions can be elected, but they don't have to be. Your unit leader can assign positions of responsibility for you to take up. You might be able to serve as a den leader, or a den chief. And there are other positions of responsibilities that can be assigned. So make sure that you have that on your radar. And then, of course, you have to plan, develop, give leadership to others in a service project. That is what an Eagle project is. And then a Scoutmaster conference. It's last on our list, but it doesn't need to be the last thing that happens. Scoutmaster conference can happen anytime while you're a Life Scout. Sometimes midway through the path is a good time to sit down with your Scout master or your unit leader if you're doing it through a venturing crew or a ship. You can sit down and make sure that you are on track, get some feedback, get some insight, draw off the experiences of other people. So you don't need to make sure that that is the last thing that you do. So the first steps from Life to Eagle, you must have earned Life rank before starting the Trail to Eagle. So that means that you're not working on the project workbook. You haven't talked to anybody about getting signatures to sign off to start a project. Those things have to wait until you are a Life Scout. What you want to do is have the Scout tell the unit leader of your intent to earn the Eagle Scout rank. That allows for a conversation to take place, and you can start down that path. Notice it says the Scout tells the unit leader. That doesn't mean that you need permission from the unit leader. It just simply means that you need to have a conversation with the unit leader of your intent to do this. The unit leader is going to give the Scout the names of trained Eagle mentors or coaches in the troop. So sometimes that could be your Scoutmaster. Many times it's other people who have gone through this process. And you know, Dave and I have both served as Eagle mentors or coaches within our troop and within our community. It doesn't necessarily have to be within your unit. If your unit might open it up to somebody else is really the point. So I've had people that I know of that have worked with people that are in other units, and as long as everybody's okay with that there's no restriction. We do ask that the scout attend a Life to Eagle seminar sometime while they are a Life Scout to make sure that they understand what this process is. If you ask any scout that I know of who has made it to the finish line of Eagle, they will tell you that the most unexpected and complicated part of the process was the paperwork. So everybody gets really eager about doing the project, and that can be really fun. But this is like project planning. This is like what you will face in the real world, and the paperwork is the part that very often creates the most frustration. So understanding what's expected to you can eliminate some of that frustration. Now, here we're highlighting that you complete the Eagle Service Project, and again, highlighting the fact that the 6-month window is the minimum. Some scouts sit at Life for a year or two, but you want to make sure that you hit all of these elements during whatever period of time that you are a Life Scout. So we started the Life Board of Review. The next step is to determine the project. When you're thinking about a project, there are sometimes resources that are available to you at a unit level that will allow you to tap into a list, perhaps with your charter organization. They might provide a list of things that they really like to have done in the area of painting, landscaping, service projects that will enhance your charter organization's meeting place. But you don't have to limit yourself to that. A lot of scouts will go out further into the community and deal with maybe approach libraries or park districts or the forest preserve districts. But this is your period of time to sit and look around and find out what it is that is meaningful to you. What is it that you're going to be proud to put your name on, so that while you're working on this is something that is going to inspire you to get through those times where you might feel frustrated or overwhelmed. Then you're completing the workbook proposal section. So when you're looking at the project workbook, there is a proposal section that you are going to fill in completely. And then you're going to present that proposal and have it approved. Now that, and Dave, feel free to jump in here, because Dave, as he mentioned, is a district Eagle coordinator. But the way we do it within our unit is the project proposal is then proposed to the committee for feedback before it is then submitted. And that's.
We'll get into those details a little further into the seminar here.
Okay, so that is the next step in the process. Then you have the complete workbook plan section. So once the proposal is approved, that's the next step, is to flesh out those details. So the complete workbook plan section is going to take that proposal and expand on it. Then you're going to complete the project. You're going to complete the workbook report section. So that's where you take all of the information on, you did the project, what went right, what went wrong, where are the pictures, how, any kind of details that you can provide at that point, it goes into the complete workbook report section. Then the final project signatures are the next step, followed by the complete Eagle application. Once the Eagle application has all been filled out, it's delivered, and then the application is verified by council. And then once all of the signatures on there and all of the details, and the details include are we showing in Scout Book that the Scout completed all 21 of those Eagle required merit, or not Eagle required, but the 21 merit badges, 14 of them Eagles, 7 of them elective? Are we showing the Board of Review date is within the right time frame? So they go through at a council level and make sure that all of the pieces are there before they then signal that you can schedule an Eagle Board of Review. And then ideally all of this is happening before the 18th birthday.
Hey, Colleen?
Yes.
Colleen, one thing that I want to add as far as determining the project, the unit leaders or the district folks should be asking the youth, what are they passionate about, so that they can find a project that will be very meaningful to them. Plus, it'll also help get them through the dog days of the project to carry them.
Absolutely.
So something to think about from that. And just the last thing is the Board of Review, Eagle Board of Review may happen before the 18th or it may happen after.
Correct. But all of the other pieces should be
Have
done
to be
before
done.
the 18th.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All the work has to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
the best way I explain it.
Yeah, okay. And you know, Don makes a really good point that drawing off of other people to make sure that you have a project that works for you, that is something that appeals to you, that is going to keep you motivated. I will tell you that our 2 kids, when they were doing their Eagle projects, one very, very much wanted to have something that 20 years later he could drive by and point it and say, I did that, I'm proud of that. And so he wanted something that he could build. Whereas our other son was like, oh, absolutely not, have no interest in doing that. He wanted something that would benefit animals. So his search took him through all sorts of different organizations that benefit animals in some way until he landed on the project that he wanted. But it's up to you as the Eagle candidate to determine what is it that appeals to you, what is it that makes you excited about your project. And then this Life to Eagle seminar that we're doing this evening is only covering that first piece of the timeline. So next month's Life to Eagle seminar, the part 2, will take you through the complete project and finalizing the paperwork and getting everything verified and scheduled, boards of review, and so on. So the Eagle Scout Service Project, while a Life Scout, notice that life is highlighted there. That's emphasizing the fact that none of this should start before you're a Life Scout, but anytime while you're a Life Scout. It doesn't have to be after you've put in your 6 months of a position of responsibility. It doesn't have to be after you've finished all of your merit badges. Just sometime during the time frame that you are a Life Scout, you're going to plan, develop, and give leadership to this project. So you're giving the leadership to others in a service project, to any religious institution, any school, or your community. And you have to use this version of the workbook. Now, the reason that we have all of these detailed out is to let you know that you have a pretty broad pool of projects to choose from. So does it say in here how many people you have to give leadership to? No. Does it say what the service project must entail? No. Does it say that it has to be to your charter organization because that's the school that you meet at? Again, the common denominator here is no. You've got all of these things to choose from, and it's up to you to find that thing that appeals to you. But once you do start putting pen to paper and documenting what it is that you want to do for your plan, you have to use this workbook number 512-927. There are a whole bunch of different versions that are out on the internet. And when you are going and seeking that out, you want to make sure that you get the right version because any other versions won't be accepted.
And we'll show you that where to get it momentarily.
Yeah. Okay. So the forms are on the Pathway to Adventure webpage. So I'm going to go here. And that's going to take us to our PTAC webpage, and we're going under resources and under, can you read that off to me, Dave? Is it Eagle?
It's
It is Eagle right
advanced.
there. You got it.
Okay. All right. And then the project workbook. So we keep this updated. So if you click on this, it should take you to the appropriate Eagle workbook. Now you'll notice that we're on the Scouting America webpage. Like I said, there are a zillion of these out there. So you want to make sure that you land on the right workbook, because some of the other ones are similar, but they're not identical, and they will not be accepted.
And if you see the
All right,
latest
so-
version, just for
Hey.
everybody's benefit, is 2023A as an alpha. It was in February 2023 is the latest version.
So
Colleen.
under that advancement section, under resources, all of the documents that you needed are going to be housed there. And our advancement team is really diligent about making sure that all of the tabs on our webpage are accurate. So what you're going to find there is your Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook, the Eagle application process, the rank application forms, the letter of reference forms. That's one of the things that you will need when you get ready. We'll talk more about that on session 2. And NISA, the National Eagle Scout organization, information there, because once you've earned Eagle, it would be awesome if you join NISA and were part of that, for the rest of your life. So we just took you live through this, so I'm not going to do it again, but over here, there is these Life to Eagle seminars are always recorded, and then they go to live on the advancement page. So if you ever needed to go back and revisit these, or let's say for whatever reason you're not available next month to hear part 2, you can go here and put in the password that you see on this screen, and you will be able to review those.
Don,
So there are 7 phases of.
I'm sorry, Kyle. Don was trying to make a comment a minute ago.
I'm sorry, Don.
So yeah, for everybody's benefit, I don't know if National has fixed this yet on some of the documents, but when you download them, make sure you save them and shut them down, and then go back and reopen them and start typing and save it under a different name. Some of the youth have actually typed in, and when they go and send it to the Eagle coordinator, it comes out blank because there's a glitch with the application. So if you want to try to print it or save it and view it, it shows up blank. But yet when the Scout opens it up, it shows up on their computer.
So they need to download first and then open it.
Yes.
And type into it.
Save it as
save it on their
save it as a different name. Just that seems to work. I don't know if anybody else has seen any other challenges, but that's several scouts that had experienced that.
Thanks, Don. Okay, 7 phases of the Eagle Scout Service Project. First step, you've got to figure your idea out. Then you're going to write up your project proposal and go through the process to get it approved. Once it is approved, not before, you're going to write up your project plan. Now, does that mean that you can't start thinking through what you would then do? It's a good idea to always have that in the back of your head as you're putting together your project proposal, because you have to always start thinking about what your next steps are. You're not going to write it up until after you get that proposal approved. You'll then carry out your project. You're going to report on it. So any project planner will tell you that the most challenging part of that project is making sure that all of your project is laid out appropriately, executed, and then that you have to write it all up. So the paperwork is key to this process. And then get your project completion signatures. So that's everybody at that point has then agreed that the project that you proposed that you were going to do was completed in its entirety. So that's what those completion signatures are going to signify. Okay. So this is the first month we are delivering the next 4 slides. So the the conservation committee for the council has asked that we share this information with you. There is a Distinguished Conservation Service Award that can be earned using some of the elements of your Eagle project. However, one of the critical elements of this is this Distinguished Conservation Award. It's a conservation related project, but if you're going to use your Eagle project to fulfill the requirements for this Distinguished Conservation Service Award, you need to get that approved before you start your Eagle project. So that part's critical. But there's 2 projects that you have to carry out. If one of them can be your Eagle project, you're halfway there. So the requirements for the DCSA include plan and lead and carry out at least 2 significant conservation projects. One of them may include the Scouts Eagle project if applicable. Then the Distinguished Conservation Service Award has at least 2 significant service projects and may include the Eagle Scout Service project. The DSUB project is a higher level than a typical Eagle Scout Service project. So it's generally more intense. It has more fine tuning involved in it. The terms significant and include are critical elements of defining this Distinguished Conservation Service Award. The approval process and the development process is a little bit more complex than the Eagle project. It involves another committee. It involves making sure that you have fulfilled all of the elements that all of the boxes that they need to check for these conservation-minded type of awards.
Hey,
If you're thinking
Colleen.
about doing the project and
Hey,
it's
Colleen, one other thing to add with this, with that conservation is the committee will actually assign a mentor to work with you that deals with the conservation and that stuff. So you make sure all the boxes are checked
Mhm.
and you don't get surprised at the end. So that mentor will help you make sure you are meeting the minimum requirements of that conservation project.
And just to be clear, that is the conservation mentor, not the Eagle coach.
That is, or Eagle coordinator. That is correct. And it's usually someone outside of the scouting organization that does that. So we had 4 or 5 youth that worked on the Eagle that actually went through and got their conservation award at the same time. So FYI.
If you are interested in pursuing this, what you want to do is contact the Conservation Committee. The email address is right here on this screen. So ptac.conservation@gmail.com. You'll also find information on this on the Pathway to Adventure webpage under conservation. Again, I'm going to stress that if you decide that you wanted to do your Eagle project and have it count for the Conservation Service Award, you must get that tied down before you start that project. And I'm not talking about just doing the actual work. I'm from the proposal on, it needs to go and make sure that it's approved by conservation before you go any further. It's better to consider having a Distinguished Conservation Service Award project double as an Eagle Service project than, I guess, it's rare that an Eagle Service project will double as a conservation service project. So again, it's more complex. So it's certainly a very worthwhile. It's not an award that gets earned very frequently because it is more complex, but because it isn't earned as frequently, it's that much more of a standout item when scouts do earn it. It's a big deal. So if that's something that appeals to you, if conservation is something you're passionate about, this might be something that you would consider doing. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is hand this over to Dave, who is going to take you through the project workbook.
You're going to allow me to, you're going to stop sharing?
I can stop sharing.
All right, and then I will start sharing. Oh, close. You're still, there we go. Okay. Everybody take a little
Breath.
breath. We are going to jump into the project. All right. You should see the screen, the same slide that Colleen was just showing. So now we're going to go through a little bit of the workbook. As Colleen said and showed you, it's available through our Pathway to Adventure website, which takes you to the national site. It is better to go that direction than to go search it out on the web page and just out on the web, because if you don't go through our site, you may end up with an older version, and then it gets you into trouble. Let's see here. It does not want to advance. Why not? Hold on one second, please. Da, 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 da. Why are you not?
You may have a comment or a red line on the document that you have to forward through.
That okay, I see what's going on. Okay. And that's what it's showing here to make sure that we have the latest version. So when you go to the front page there on the national site, it will tell you what the latest version is. We didn't read that, but it does state it right on the front page. And in this presentation, we do not have the current version up on the screen right now. If you notice, that's a 2015 version. So what do you need to do to start the Eagle project? You got to do that proposal, but you got to think about what you want to do. As Colleen was just saying, if you are very conservation minded and think you might want to get the Distinguished Conservation Award, then you should go the opposite direction and work towards the Distinguished Conservation Service Award and use one of those projects as your Eagle project, because that will fulfill certainly an Eagle project because of its the amount of work that takes. Make sure you're talking to your parents because they're going to be ones that are actively involved in whatever your project is. So you want to make sure they're enthusiastic in it too. Certainly talk to your Scoutmaster if you're looking for ideas. They're going to be a good source for some ideas. It is the Scouts' option to use an Eagle coach, but from being around different projects, it is highly, highly, highly recommended that you have a coach, and many units have coaches within their unit. And as Colleen said, you don't have to use that one in your unit, but it usually typically works out very well because you can meet with them regularly. On average, it does take 4 to 6 months for planning. Sometimes you start planning on one project and things start falling through and you end up having to change the project. You want to start looking at visiting potential beneficiaries and seeing what you might find out from them and see if what you're thinking of a project fits into what they're thinking of a project is. It may or may not, and they may or may not be as enthusiastic about what you've thought of first, but you might be able to work through those things and brainstorm with each other and modify your project to fit into their project. You want to absolutely know what their expectations are of what you're going to do, but there's also guidelines for them too. You got to figure out how you're going to fund the project. Certainly, many benefiting organizations will come up with resources, financial or material. So that is something you should be discussing with them when you're doing your planning. Um, find out from them if they have a timeline for when they want the project finished, and make sure you understand what your limitations are and what resources you have available to you. Depending on what that project is, if it is building something, for instance, do you have the resources to have whatever personnel can accomplish whatever it is you need to get accomplished for your project, such as carpenters or other tradesmen that may need help you out? Oh, pardon me. Um, so, do you need to work on the funding, and are you capable of the project? Um, so remember, all this has to happen while you're a Life Scout. It cannot be started, none of it should be started prior to your board of review. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have your court of honor, but you must have passed and had your board of review. And that's when you can start thinking about your project. You can
Hey,
look at
Dave,
yes, sir.
one thing that just a recommendation is as you're going through the conservation proposal approval process, once you get that done, then make sure you get the Eagle proposal approval done before you start the project, either conservation or from an Eagle standpoint. Because that
Good
could trip
point.
you up,
Good point.
where it won't count.
Yep, you definitely, if you are going to utilize your service, your conservation project for your Eagle project, you will be concurrently talking and putting together paperwork for both paths. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right. So remember, the Eagle project is not so much of what you doing the work, but it's you taking all of the skills that you've learned working your way up through the ranks to a Life Scout, to showing everybody and take how you've developed into a leader and how you can take everything you've learned and put it down into a project. So it does require some effort and time on your part and definitely forethought. Uh, if your beneficiary gives you a plan that typically does not meet the requirements of an Eagle project, you need to be the one coming up with the plan. They certainly may have some ideas for you, and then you develop that plan, um, and show how you are going to provide the leadership through doing that project. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. You part of the Eagle requirement is that you give leadership to others. What is those others? Well, those others has to be at least two people besides you. It does not have to be an army of people, a minimum of two. So, it can be that small and still fulfill the requirements. Typically, it's usually more than that.
Those two people do not have to, oh, never mind.
And I was just about to say that none of the people working on your project have to be in scouting. They can be, family, they can be family friends, they can be others from other organizations that you might be a part of, your church, whatever they may come from, your school. It does not have to be scouts, but you have to be the one providing the leadership. And what we talked about at our safety moment was that guide to safe scouting, and everything that you allow others to do must follow the guide to safe scouting. And there are age appropriate things for people, for scouts or youth, to be able to do using power tools, climbing up on ladders or scaffolding and things of that nature.
Dave, Dr. Patch added a comment into the chat and just wanted to share that if you were doing the conservation award, that having a plan handed to you would not be suitable for a conservation award either. You have to come up with your own plan.
Thank you for that feedback. Appreciate it. So who's it helpful to? It can be any religious institution, any school, your community. It can be your community encompasses just about everything, right? It can be local, state, national, international, anything other than a commercial business. You can get sponsorship from that business, but it also cannot be BSA or Scouting America. It must be outside of our organization also.
So David, let me add, the second project, which is conservation, can be a scouting property, but the first one that you're going to count for Eagle and conservation cannot be a scouting property.
Thank you for that, Don. All right, so how does it get, what's the approval process? Well, first it has to fulfill 5 tests. Does the project meet Eagle requirements? Are you going to provide planning, development, and give leadership? Is it a feasible project? Is it something that, are you trying to move a mountain? Well, is that really feasible? Probably not. So that's something that is going to be taken a look at as you, at every level of the approval process. Are your safety issues addressed? Are you following the Guide to Safe Scouting? Is there action steps that you're ready to take for further detailing of the planning? Remember, when you're doing your proposal, you're just, it's a rough proposal. You're not trying to put all of the information down. You want to have steps ready for that action plan. And are you on the right track for a positive experience? We definitely don't want you to get down a rabbit hole and, spend months going towards doing a project and have it be a negative experience because something happens at the end, right? You want to make sure we're moving you in the right direction. That's what the Eagle coach is about, and why we highly recommend that you use a Eagle coach. The process involves your scoutmaster. You have to go in front of your committee, unit committee, and get them to approve your project. You have to get your beneficiary to approve your project. And last but not least, you have to get your council reps, your Eagle council rep to approve it and sign off on the proposal before you go any further. So the signatures all happen from the Scoutmaster to the troop committee and from your benefiting organization prior to your requesting a meeting with your district advancement chair. And your district advancement chair will then assign a district Eagle coordinator who you will meet with. You will then have to tell that, do the proposal and give that proposal to that Eagle coordinator. Now, that meeting doesn't have to exist with a bunch of people, but there does have to be at least one other adult, either you're a member from your unit or a parent, whoever that may be, that is fine. But remember, you as the Eagle candidate are the one responsible for making sure that we maintain the Guide to Safe Scout, which requires 2 deep leadership. So the District Eagle coordinator will do everything they can to approve the project. Obviously, you've gone through your Scoutmaster, your unit, the beneficiary. This is the last stop and making sure that everything those requirements are met and that the project can move forward. So you want to make sure that you have your ducks in a row prior to having your meeting with your district Eagle coordinator. Sometimes, and most of the time, the district Eagle coordinator will have some suggestions to add to your project. It's usually typically around safety and other planning. And there's a section in the project planning section of the workbook that is specifically made for you to write in this information that you get from your district Eagle coordinator. So make sure when you go to your approval with the district Eagle coordinator that you have your full workbook and the project plan section with you. All right, so after meeting, sorry, did somebody have a comment?
Yes, one precaution, and life happens. Once you get once the youth gets the 4 signatures, either for the proposal or at the end with the 3 signatures for the final project, make sure you copy it, have it electronic and stored, because a lot of times youth have either had it destroyed or lost and could not find it. So have a backup plan, because that's one of the things that the process looks for the approval at the end.
One other point of clarification, I know our slide says that the scout should meet with the coach, scoutmaster, beneficiary, and so on. Traditionally, it is a scoutmaster, but it really should read unit leader, because an Eagle project can be completed with a venturing crew or on a ship. So once you get your requirements up through first class completed, you can continue the rest of the process through one of those types of units. And then you would be meeting with your crew advisor or with your skipper.
Good point. Thanks, Colleen. At very, very rare occasions, I've been a DEC for many many years now with Pat, and there may be a time where there is some suggestions and ask from the district Eagle coordinator for you to go back and take a look at how it does not fulfill some of the 5 tests, and maybe make some changes and bring it back to them to fulfill that. So I have to say that is an extremely rare occasion, because you've already gone through, hopefully your coach and your unit are familiar enough with what the requirements are that they make sure that those are met before you get to the district Eagle coordinator. And you can, if there is a issue that you cannot get your proposal approved through that district Eagle coordinator, the scout does have the opportunity to ask for a second opinion from the district advancement chair. That usually will take on another meeting, but like I said, that is extremely rare. So if you have to do some fundraising, well, first thing, the project itself cannot be a fundraiser. So an Eagle project is not something where you're just trying to raise money for whatever an organization is or whatsoever. But you can do fundraising to pay for the needs of whatever your project is. I will say that for one of our sons and his project, he did get some donations. That his project itself wasn't, it was collecting needs for a animal shelter, and some people did give cash donations, which were then given directly to the organization. That is absolutely, and they were just going to use that to purchase the things they needed. So that is certainly okay, but it was not the main purpose or his main project. He did spend quite some time collecting all of the different things that they had requested. So there is an application process that needs to be approved by the DEC, only if but not if the funds are directly from the project beneficiary, the parents or family of the Eagle coordinator, or the Eagle candidate, excuse me, or if it comes from the unit or the charter organization. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If you're getting funding directly from the project beneficiary or your unit or charter organization, or it's coming directly from your family, no paperwork or further approval is needed. That's acceptable means of funding that there is no additional requirements for. There are a couple misconceptions that I think we should take a look at, just so everybody is clear on it. There's no minimum or maximum number of hours required for an Eagle project. Some people's projects last multiple hours and involve many people, and some projects are not as large and can be done in a relatively short time. But all they need to do is meet those 5 requirements where you were, and it is a Eagle project. So it can't be doubled up and 2 Eagle candidates be doing the same project or different phases of the project at the same time. It certainly, depending on what that might be, could you divide a project into multiple phases and each individual do a number of the phases? That is sometimes how that people get around those types of things. And it doesn't have to be something that lasts forever. You know, it did, as our one son did a construction of a remodeling of a office at our charter organization. Our other son collected food and other things for an animal shelter, and you know, I'm sure they no longer have that food. So there is no requirement that it be something that is going to stick around for any period of time, and that's any.
Don has his hand raised.
Yeah,
Hey, Don.
hey, Dave, one thing for the scout that I work with is that you may not need the Eagle fundraising form, but if at the last minute you discover you have to do fundraising because you missed something major, if you fill out the form and get the signatures ahead of time, then you're not scrambling at the last minute. So just as a precaution, get that filled out just in the event that you might need it at the last minute. So it's their option. The youth, they can take it or leave it, but at least you've given them some options.
Understood. Good thought. So all the plans are completed for the sign off are between the scout and the beneficiary. That is hopefully makes sense to everybody that once it's signed off, things are exactly what's supposed to happen. The beneficiary shouldn't be adding or changing things after the plan is put together. All right, so here's the remember this is where we get the workbook. We've got the 5 requirements. We talked about those. We have to plan, develop, gives leadership to others. The project purpose demonstrates leadership skills. And choosing a project, make sure you understand the restrictions, that it can't be just routine labor in like doing maintenance or cleaning of the general cleaning of your charter organization's building or something like that. If you're just going in and vacuuming or mopping for, floors, things of that nature. If it's routine labor, that it must be a project. It can't be just routine stuff to fulfill an Eagle project. It can't be a fundraiser, and it can't be for the Scouting America. All right. Then we've got the paperwork, right? The workbook is got 3 sections. It's your proposal, which you have to complete and get signed off on before beginning to write up your detailed plan. And obviously the report is done after all the work is done. You want to make sure that you have a name for your project and that your name is on this project, not somebody else's. Right? All right. So you've met those 5 tasks or the 5 tests. You're working with your beneficiary and you give them part of the what's in the workbook is navigating the Eagle Scout service project. You have them read that. Make sure that they understand their what they need to do and what their requirements are for you as the Eagle candidate, and make sure that everybody's on the same page. It definitely, you want to make sure that gets clearly, they read that and sign off on it, because there has been incidences that I've been involved with where the beneficiary and has tried to add on to or try to give the leadership or take the leadership away from the scout and manage the project. So you put together the plan, right? The plan is just an overview. It's not the, or excuse me, the plan is the detail from the proposal, right? You don't want to be putting together your plan before you have your meeting with the DEC, or else you may run into problems. You should wait and do that afterwards. And it is encouraged that you use the workbook and put together the final project plan. It will make your project run smoothly and get you through your Eagle Board of Review much more smoothly and without any hiccups if you follow that process that's laid out in the workbook. All right. So in the instructions, you begin your work on your project only after your proposal is fully approved and you have finished your final plan. Note the steps. Write up your project proposal. Approval of the proposal has to happen from first your scoutmaster, your committee, then through the DEC. Then taking the after having your meeting with the District Eagle coordinator, you're gonna take whatever comments that the Eagle coordinator may have and utilize those in writing up your project plan and making sure that it's complete from beginning to end, talking about everything and anything that you may need to do for that project. Even thinking about what you might need to provide from safety aspects to feeding your crews if it's something that is going to take a longer period of time, those kinds of things. The 4th thing you do is the project. And here are some things that we're going to go through the actual paperwork real quickly here. This pretty much is pretty straightforward on what information is going here. You want to make sure you have your name on it. You want to make sure that you have your Scout ID on this paperwork. That is definitely very important. You want to make sure that you have the name, address, and information of your District Eagle coordinator so that you can get a hold of them. If something is happening, they are there to help you out too. So the project proposal is very basic. It can be handwritten, it can be typed any way. This is a PDF that is fillable, and the type size will decrease as you are typing. So it, will all fit in the box. When they first created this, there were issues there, but that's pretty much uh, been cleared up. But you can also, do some sketches of things, or use photographs. That's all fine too. You want to tell how it's going to show leadership, where you're going to get your individuals from, what types of materials you're going to use, and so forth. This is pretty self-explanatory as far as what is needed. Now, as far as permits and permissions, if there are actual building permit requirements for the project, you have to be very clear on who will obtain those. That usually it's a process, and it typically, it is our recommendation that the property owner should be the one obtaining those permits. It makes life a whole lot smoother, but some will say they will ask you to do that as part of the project, and working with the community and getting the approvals and obtaining the permit from the village or city that you're in, where you're doing the work. So it obviously the uh, cost preliminary cost estimates don't need to be anything exact, but here's where you're going to determine about how much money you're going to need and figure out how you're going to raise that money. Are you going to have to fundraise or not? As Don said, if you think there's any possibility that you might, it's probably best to get figure out what your fundraising possibly would be, and get the approval process for that going also, so that there isn't anything that stops you in the middle and you can keep moving along. Obviously, you're taking a look at everything from the logistical side, the safety side, and moving forward with all of that. Now, here's a page that often comes to a DEC meeting, and sometimes is almost as blank. I've had to send a scout out and tell them they've had their different meetings, but they didn't get their paperwork signed. So I've had to postpone the approval and ask them to go back. And first of all, it's obvious to me then that they haven't used a Eagle Coach, because this is some of the things an Eagle Coach should be helping them with. They're making sure that they're following along with this. But the first one should be that the candidate themselves reads and signs this their promise before anything else happens. When you start doing your project, this is one of the first things, is that you read through this whole booklet and take a look at it. So you should be signing off on this. And obviously, we talked about the unit leader and the committee signing off on it and getting your beneficiaries approval. And this is also stating that they've read and been given the paperwork and understanding of what the Eagle project and processes are. So they should be checking the box above there before they sign it. And then lastly, the council, our district, we here at PTAC have district Eagle coordinators. All right, they're the very last one. So if I get this sheet handed to me at a district Eagle project proposal meeting and it's blank, I will say, unfortunately, we can't continue, and you need to get those other signatures first. All right. Then that special meeting obviously is the meeting with the district Eagle coordinator, and it only has to be the Eagle coordinator and one other adult. And typically there's a few emails that go back and forth to get that scheduled. And I typically, once I get to this point, will ask and make sure that they have this page signed off on. Sometimes I have forgotten, and that's when it ends up being a 2 meetings instead of 1. All right, so to get the district proposal approval, the candidate, the person, the scout doing the project, not the anyone else, it should be the scout. He will through his scoutmaster or through his coach find out how to get a hold of the district advancement share. Then the scout will send an email typically to that district Eagle coordinator, but making sure they copy at least one other adult. It doesn't hurt to copy your parents and somebody from your unit, just to make sure everybody's all on the same page, because typically the other adults at the District Eagle proposal approval meeting is one of those adults, so you may as well include them from the get-go here. You'll get the meeting scheduled and meet, and you want to make sure you bring that the project plan with you so you can add in all the information that you get from the District Eagle coordinator. So remember, we have to have a couple other adults. Anytime you're communicating with a youth, they must include at least 2 adults in any type of communication, no matter what it is, written, telephone, any electronic. It requires that we involve at least 2 adults. All right, so you'll meet with that District Eagle coordinator. You will present the Eagle candidate will present their proposal. There will be some probably comments from that Eagle coordinator. He's been around for a while, or he or she. And if you have any questions, certainly ask away. They're there to help you along the process too. Then there's the golden envelope. This right here, usually you do get this at your meeting with your District Eagle coordinator. It has a checklist on there for you for when you turn your paperwork in, that you will bring this envelope down to the one of the offices. You can bring it to Chicago, Arlington Heights, or LaGrange. If you do not get it at
And Munster.
And Munster, pardon me. How could I forget? Yes, any of the scout offices will accept these. If for some reason the Eagle coordinator, the District Eagle coordinator does not give you one, you can pick one up at a district or at the service center. They are available there. The project plan is the next thing that you will end up doing, and you will develop it further. And as I said in earlier comments, here's the section where you will write in whatever suggestions you receive from your District Eagle coordinator. All right. Then if there are any changes from the proposal, if as you're going on, you must document all of that. Make sure that your beneficiary is aware of those changes that they have signed on the proposal. It's very important, because if something goes down the road and they are and you change something but didn't make them aware, you have to get a final signature from them that the project is complete. If you change something and they weren't aware of it, they didn't approve it, well, they may not sign off on your project and you may be at square one. So that's the project plan certainly goes into much more detail on all of the phasing and everything else that you must or might want to do. It certainly walks you through all of the different steps, all of the different things you might need, it will give you budgets and costs for everything that you do. That's why we highly recommend that you fill this out accurately, because when you get to your Eagle Board of Review, it certainly is documentation that you can utilize to back yourself up in your Eagle Board of Review. Remember, we talked about you're giving leadership and that there's different tasks that are going to be done. And there are guidelines for age limits on certain tools and tasks that can be done. So make sure that you're planning accordingly and have the right people doing things. Obviously, how you're going to get the material to your work site, and all those things need to be worked through. And this is certainly something as an Eagle coordinator I look at closely, is what who's going to be your person, your point of contact for first aid. What other hazards are there involved in your project? How are you going to mitigate them? What kind of protective gear may you provide for those that are working on the project? Safety glasses, hard hats if needed. What are the hazards? What other contingency plans do you have if weather is bad or something else goes wrong? That postpones the project because materials are delayed. That certainly was things that happened during COVID that were bigger issues than typical. Then here's a opportunity for your coach to give you some feedback and for you to document what that your Eagle coach has given to you too. So here's the fundraising application. It's fairly straightforward too. It is basically telling you, or telling us who are approving all of it, what exactly it's going to be done, how you're going to do it. The beneficiary, the unit leader has to sign off, and the authorized council approval is typically the district Eagle coordinator. But you must get all of those all of those signatures for sure. All right, so now you're ready to carry out that project, right? The day comes, everything's goes as planned, right? So you have your plan, you execute the plan. Remember, you're giving leadership, so it's not that you're doing the work. You have to manage what is going on. You certainly can, as the Eagle candidate, and doing the project, ask people for their guidance. It's not, that's not a problem. But it's your responsibility as the scout to provide the leadership. Certainly on the day of, you shouldn't, you can help out, but typically you're just showing people what they need to do and moving on to other tasks and oversight. Any questions? All right. Well, that is the part one completion. The part two will be next month. Pat should be back, I believe, but I really appreciate you guys participating in our meeting tonight and walking you through Life to Eagle. If there's any questions, comments, certainly you can get a hold of Pat through the email on the screen. Colleen and I are certainly more than welcome to assist in any way that we can also. Any other final comments?
I just would like to remind everyone that the Merit Badge College is November 15th at Hammond, Indiana, Purdue Northwest campus. And we will be having a number of Eagle required merit badges. At least two of them are going to be ones, I believe, that are related to world conservation. We've got sustainability and citizenship in the world. We'll also be doing citizenship in the nation, community, communication. And today I just recruited somebody that's going to offer the new artificial intelligence merit badge. Now, merit badge registration is open, but we will continue to add different badges as we recruit counselors and put information on those prerequisites on the registration page. So a few of the ones I just mentioned are not up there yet, but quite a few of them are. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you,
Oh.
everybody.
I put a comment in. Thank you for including the conservation award. We get a lot of concerns, particularly from parents. They read about it and then they want to go back and get their youth Eagle project retrofitted for a conservation award, and it doesn't work like that. So thank you for covering it very well.
Thank you, Dr. Patch. All right. Anyone else?
Thanks, Colleen. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Good to see you, Dave.
Yep.
We'll see
right.
you guys
Thank you,
all down the
everyone.
trail somewhere else.
Have a
I'm
good night.
sure.
Good
See
night.
you.
Thank you guys. Great seminar.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
George.
Mm.